this video, we're going to explore how to use mind maps for meeting agendas. Welcome, I'm your instructor, Garland Coulson, Captain Time. Now, I love mind maps. I use them for many things, and they're awesome for meeting and brainstorming, but many people may not have thought of using them for meeting agendas, or many people are holding meetings without agendas, which is just a crime. So in this video, we're going to explore this a little more. I want to also talk about some meeting preparation tips and some tips for keeping the meeting on track, as well as the agenda, because meetings are a pet peeve of mine that people waste so much time in them. So let's talk about some meeting preparation here. So first off, if your meeting's important enough to interrupt all your staff and all these people's important work that you're paying for, it's important enough to prepare properly for your meeting. And one of the first things is I think it's very important to have ground rules for your meetings. So what are ground rules? Ground rules are rules of meeting conduct, things that are important that people will need to follow to make sure that everybody gets a voice and to make sure that the meeting runs properly. So here's some ground rules that I have put together, and I've left a copy for you here. There's a link where you can sign up and get a copy of these ground rules. Number one, be on time. Mobile devices have to be off unless they're being used for note-taking, and in which case they need to be set to airplane mode. Treat others with respect, no personal attacks, challenge ideas, not people, and most importantly, probably these two, numbers 6 and 7, one person speaks at a time and we do not interrupt. And so many people interrupt each other in meetings. That's a key one. Now, one problem with that is one person could speak forever, so that takes us to point 7. Speakers must come to their point immediately, then stop to allow feedback. So by following those two and making sure those two are done, you end up with people making their points very clearly, concisely, and they're not interrupted, and then the next people can jump in. Topics not on the agenda will not be discussed. They can be considered for future agendas. This is a common mistake. You keep talking about more and more things at the meeting, and suddenly you've gone way over the meeting time, and you probably haven't gotten to the things that were on the agenda. Respect the meeting's intent. If the meeting was for a certain purpose, stick with that purpose. When you're brainstorming, capture the ideas without judgment. You can always work through them later. Check your ego at the door. Your ideas and opinions will be challenged. And again, it's not a personal attack. Your ideas and opinions are being challenged. Focus on the positive and what can be taken action on instead of, oh, this is bad, the economy is bad, these are these problems. Instead, find out what you can take action on. Provide solutions. Don't point at the problems. So don't allow any devil's advocates in the room. Own your opinion. Don't say everyone feels this way. Say I feel this way. This is the way I think about this topic. Commit to stay on the agenda, move discussions forward. No side conversations. If the ground rules are not being followed, speak to the facilitator and end on time. So very important you circulate this before the meeting, that everybody's got a copy of this. Maybe put the poster up on the wall in your meeting so that everybody can see it, and remind people on the poster, that this is the way we do things. And as I mentioned, I'll have a link down below that you can follow to download a free copy of these ground rules. Designate a meeting facilitator. The meeting facilitator should be a strong leader who can keep the meeting on track, keep those strong personalities focused, keep people from interrupting each other. You can also hire an outside facilitator, especially good for the first few times to get your meetings on track, get them well running, and then you can have other people take them over. Or I can do some meeting facilitator training if you want. Contact me, Garland at CaptainTime.com, if you'd like to have me run some meetings or train your facilitators to get your team used to how to do these effective meetings. Set the meeting purpose. So why are we meeting? And if there is no good purpose, why are you having a meeting at all? What problem are we trying to solve? And you want to make sure that the meeting's just for that purpose. Choose the right people. Only the people needed to solve the problem. If you're in the sales department and you're having to sit through the stuff from the logistics department that's taking forever, it would be far better off if the logistics department had their own meetings and the sales department had their own meetings, and you were just updated by memo if there's a problem in the logistics that's affecting sales or something like that. So make sure you've only got the people there needed to solve the problem. Create the agenda and send that agenda ahead of time to all the participants. And I'll give you an agenda template here you can use. And the reason you want to send the meeting copy of the agenda to everybody is so they're prepared. They know what they're talking about. It's like, oh, I didn't know we were going to talk about this. If there's any reports that need to be done, have the reports ready and circulated before the meeting. This saves significant time, so there's no reading of reports out loud, and everybody can come prepared. Oh, I've seen the report. I had a question about why our expenses on advertising went up 25%. Did we run a big campaign? So this is why you have all that circulated ahead of time. Instead of talking out loud, then expecting people to take time to carefully read the report and come up with questions, it's just wasting everybody's time. Choose a note taker, someone who's going to take notes for the session, and the person who's going to create your action plan from this, record all these things. This person takes notes during the meeting. The notes can be done in mind map. They can be done in the note program. Smartphones are great to take pictures of whiteboards if you're working with whiteboards at all. You can also do an audio recording that can help them be able to catch up on any meeting things they missed later. Then that person creates an action plan to go out to all the members so that way the tasks are going to be there. Ideally, the tasks should go into your task management program. Alternatively, it should go out in a list or email to people so they've all got theirs. Each task should have a due date and priority level with it so people know how important it is and when they're responsible to have it done. So that's it for the meeting prep. Let's look at an agenda, what might be on it, how you would do that. So the first off, I like if it's a meeting where people are not used to ground rules, I think it's really important to review the ground rules first. So for the first few meetings, I would put review ground rules as your number one item in your agenda so people know how to act properly in a meeting. People know how to move the meeting forward. Definitely review it for the first few meetings. Review again whenever you've got new people or when people are forgetting the rules. Number two, you should review the purpose of the meeting. So agenda item number 2 should be, we're calling this meeting for. We're meeting today to solve problem X so that people know why they're here. Our plan is to come out of here with an action plan to solve problem X or to gather more information to deal with problem Y. So then at that point, you can add the rest of your agenda items. So I like these 2 agenda items first. And so number 3, I'll just open this up here. Add each agenda item. You can drag and drop them into place with the mind map. It's really good for that. Put the most important items first. This makes sure there's enough time available for the most important item. And this is in case someone has to leave. If someone has to leave early, they got to weigh in, provide their input, help brainstorm the most important item. Set a time limit, an estimated time for each item so you know that you're not going to go over. And set an actual timer for this to make sure that your people are going to keep on track. Say, okay, for the next 10 minutes, we're going to discuss this problem. If an item needs more research, action, or follow-up, assign a person to do that. And so that will go into the action plan. You can use the icons on this mind map or just put a number in front of the text to number them so you know what order they are. The mind map agenda can even be used to take notes during the session. If you want for this agenda item, you could just hit enter and put note. Remember to research possible tools to automate this process. So you can do that note, and then you can again assign that to people. The mind map program I'm using, by the way, is called MindMeister. MindMeister even lets me turn these notes into tasks, so there's an easy way to do there. But of course, you can also just add it to any task management system. If you'd like to find out more about MindMeister, check out the link below, and you can find a link to where you can check it out and receive a percentage off your first purchase. And then we just continue, item 4, number 5, number 6, and continue on with that. And then remind people at the end that they're going to have tasks from this. Remind people they're going to be assigned tasks and actions based on the meeting that they'll be responsible for. So that agenda looks really easy, but how do you keep the meeting on track moving forward when you've got especially personalities who might be quite loud and robust? So here's some important things to look at, and some of these are in the ground rules as well, but I'm just going to talk about how do you keep the meeting on track with these. Start on time. Starting late shows people you disrespect their time and their work. If you've called a meeting and all your staff are there and you're the one running it and you're late, that's you're wasting their time and you don't respect your team. And if you're going to a meeting, you're showing your coworkers you don't respect them. You're showing your manager or the meeting facilitator you don't respect them. If you start late, you train people to arrive late because they know it's not going to start for 10, 15 minutes anyway. So there's no need to be there right on the dot. People arriving late when the meeting's already running will realize they're disrupting the meeting, and most good people will then make more of an effort to arrive on time next time. But if they don't and continue that, then you can talk to their manager. If you're their manager, make sure that there's follow-up done to remind them why it's important to be on time for the meeting. Stick to the agenda. Do not let people go off track. Any new business has to go into consideration for a future agenda and is not automatically going to be added today, ever. You don't ever want to add new things to the agenda today just because someone suggests it. Stick to the agenda. Keep on there. If someone brings up a new topic, say, right now we're focusing on this agenda item. We'll consider that for a future agenda. If people are jumping further down the agenda, say, we'll be talking to that topic in a few minutes. Right now, we're dealing to this one. Stick to the time allotted for each item, because when you planned this, you planned the time based on the importance of each item. So if you're going over, you're stealing from the other important items. And use a timer. That will just help that you can say, okay, on to the next agenda items. Don't let conversational bullies take over. This happens quite regularly. Refer to the ground rules about interruptions and making your points quickly. Make sure the quiet staff have room to make their voice heard. If they haven't piped up or said anything and they've got good knowledge or information in that area, and you might just say, well, Stan, I know you've had some really good ideas on this. Could you share what you told me last week? Or Susan, I haven't heard from you yet on this. So call on people to make sure that their voice is being heard. And if someone says the same thing over and over again, say, yeah, you already made that point, so we've dealt with that point, but we're gonna hear from other people as well on this, and then we'll come to a consensus, or when the time's up, then we'll make a decision on this. Again, need a strong facilitator, somebody who's not scared to step on toes and get people to come back on track. And this is especially difficult if the person who's being a bit of the conversational bully is a higher up manager. End on time. Show you respect their time. They've usually had to arrange other meetings, client appointments, calls, things based on this meeting. Delaying it puts them late for these other things, so show you respect their time. Follow up on the action plan. Make sure that it's gotten into the task management system. Make sure that everybody is following up. And if people aren't following up, then you need to talk to their manager about, so-and-so's not following up on the commitments they made to do these. So that's the meeting agenda template plus some ideas on meetings. If you like this, please hit the like and subscribe button and share this with other people. I'd love it if you share this with other people. In the comments below, tell me what you thought of this. Tell me about your meeting nightmares or something that worked particularly well for you at a meeting. There'll be a link down below to access this mind map and to be able to access the template. And as always, thank you so much for listening. I'm Garland Coulson, Captain Time, and I really appreciate all of my subscribers who are regularly following me. Thank you.